What's the weirdest thing you've ever heard about chiropractic? Because there's some weird stuff out there. Anybody ever heard if you get your neck adjusted that you could have a stroke? Anybody ever heard that?
Seizure.
Oh, you heard it can cause a seizure? Okay.
Now you tell.
Yeah. Wow, you guys are either living under a rock or not participating today because there's some weird stuff out there about chiropractors.
We don't hang around with those.
No, just hang out. Smart.
Are you talking
Smart.
about you in general, or
No, just all of the. What's the weirdest thing you've ever heard about chiropractors? Right? You break their neck. Okay. Anybody else? Anything? Just about me. Oh no, there's way more weird stuff about me than about chiropractors. The weird stuff about me is though is mostly true. So yes. And that actually has a very, very interesting historical foundation about chiropractors being witch doctors. And we're going to actually we're going to talk about the word quack today and where that word actually came from. That was a word that was made up specifically to try and give chiropractors a bad name. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to start off reading something that was written by the developer of chiropractic. And this really contains the essence of why chiropractors in general are so weird. It is way outside our cultural norm, and it has been from the very beginning, and that's caused a lot of problems, but as you're going to see, it's actually opened the door for the solutions that we need in healthcare today. So it's called The Truth by Dr. B.J. Palmer. We chiropractors work with the subtle substance of the soul. We release the imprisoned impulse, the rivet of force that emanates from the mind and flows over the nerves to the cells and stirs them into life. We deal with the magic power that transforms common food into living, loving, thinking clay that robes the earth with beauty and hues and scents the flowers with the glory of the air. In the dim, in the dark, in the distant, long ago, when the sun first bowed to the morning star, this power spoke, and there was life. It quickened the slime of the sea and the dust of the earth and drove the cell into union with its fellows in countless living forms. Through eons of time, it finned the fish and winged the birds and fanged the beasts, endlessly working, evolving its forms until it produced the crowning glory of them all. With tireless energy, it blows the bubble of each individual life and then silently, relentlessly dissolves the form and absorbs the spirit into itself again. And yet, you ask, can chiropractic cure appendicitis or the flu? Have you more faith in a knife or a spoonful of medicine than in the innate power that animates the internal living world? It's a pretty powerful statement, right? And what do most people go to a chiropractor for? Is it this? They go to because it hurts. Ouch. It hurts my neck. It hurts my back. But yet it's so much deeper than this. And there's a reason it makes your back and neck feel better too. But it is so much deeper than just moving something back into place that was out of place. So this is the battle for healthcare. Does anybody really think that we have a good healthcare system today? Raise your hands if you think we have one. Not a single hand in the room. So what's the biggest problem with our healthcare system currently? Somebody throw something out. Biggest problem. It's sick care. Anybody else? Insurance controls. That's right. Anything else?
It's not holistic. It's not a whole person.
It's not holistic. It's not whole person. Anybody else? They can scam you. I would say the biggest problem with healthcare is that we don't have it. We have sick care. We have a scam of sick care being passed off as health care. So we don't get the benefit of both. And both of them have their benefits. Both of them have their drawbacks too. And one day we will be a smart society and we will have both. We're not there yet. So I was going to have this whole presentation be about the cheeky history of chiropractic because it's got some wildly colorful characters that are involved with it. It was going to be a lot of fun. We were going to talk about the founder of chiropractic, D.D. Palmer, who he was a beekeeper, he was a grocer, he was a school teacher, he was what's called a spiritualist, and before he actually became a magnetic healer. And he was so good at being a magnetic healer, which was literally like waving his hands over people and they were getting better. He was so good at being a magnetic healer, he had a 40-room magnetic healing hospital. People would come from all over the country to get a treatment by him and stay in his hospital as they were getting better. Okay, and he actually studied under, I can't remember what his name is, but his Mesmer. And he was the father of hypnosis that we call today. But Mesmer also started off as a magnetic healer and a teacher. D.D. Palmer was a contemporary of Dr. Andrew Taylor Still, who was the founder of osteopathy. They had a little bit of a rivalry going on. And he almost made chiropractic a religion. And he did this actually to protect it because it was majorly under attack. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. Now, he did not make it a religion, thankfully, but he thought along those lines because at the very root of what he was always doing was to make sure that human, the non-physical, was able to come through the human form unobstructed. And his thought process was, if you, in your authentic nature, your soul, could be expressed through your body uninhibited, you weren't going to be having the health problems. You weren't going to be getting sick. You weren't going to struggle with mood issues. You weren't going to struggle because you were going to be your best version. Now, because he got attacked so much, he ended up having to pass on chiropractic very, very early to his son. And his son was like only in his 20s. And his son was named B.J. Palmer. Now, one of the cool things about B.J. Palmer, he was a radical, very radical, both of them were very radical individuals. But B.J. Palmer was an extreme into technology and pushing the envelope of what we could do. He actually had the second radio station west of the Mississippi by 3 minutes. The other radio station beat him by 3 minutes before he could get his up on air. He gave Ronald Reagan his first job in media. Ronald Reagan actually worked for B.J. Palmer in his radio station. And he greatly advanced X-ray technology. We would not be able to do the things with X-rays that we can do today had he not pushed that envelope as far as he could, as well as he's kind of right up there with the founders of thermography, being able to read what's happening in the body through heat differentiation. And this was back in the early 1900s. He was doing all of this stuff. Another fascinating fact, he actually ran his dad over with a car. They had a big rivalry. They did not get along. There was always this battle. That's why chiropractors in general don't typically have very good family lives. From the very beginning, there was this big rivalry, and BJ ended up running his dad over with a car during a parade. And Dee Dee's writings before that incident were extremely profound, very, very deep, deep. All of his writings after that, he sounds like a crazy person. If you know anything about closed head injuries, it's like, oh my gosh, this guy was really suffering after that. So I was going to talk about all of this other stuff and just keep it light and fun until we open this up on Eventbrite. Now, normally we open this up for about 25 different tickets, and never once has it sold out. And we just kind of put it up there, and this one, we triggered something because within a few hours, we had sold all of those 25 tickets. So we're like, oh, well, that's cool. Let's open it up for another 25 tickets. Another few hours, those sold out too. We're like, okay, this is really weird. So we started contacting some of those, and the majority of the emails weren't actual emails. And so we're like, okay, let's open it up for 1,000 tickets. And then that sold out. Like, let's open it up and add in another 1,000 tickets. If this is going to keep going, let's see how far this is going. So earlier today, and now we actually did sell it, but look at this. At 1:41 today, we had 1932 sold. At 2:36, we had 1964. At 2:58, 1985. Okay. Someone, somewhere, put in the time and energy to try to fill this class up. Now, as of right now, we have one person on Zoom. And we have the people in this room. So why would someone spend the time and the energy to try to fill up a class like this? What would be the point? Anybody?
Shut down the truth.
This is what's called a soft censor. If you can fill up the class, nobody else can attend. Now, they'll just set these programs going, and these bots or these algorithms will just buy up all the tickets, not necessarily expecting us to just keep opening it up and going, okay, let's see how many tickets we can sell. But this is still a big issue today. As weird as this sounds, just me putting up a class that says the battle for healthcare, the secret history of chiropractic, something, somewhere, got upset about that and wanted to make sure that there was no tickets available. Okay, so this is something that's still going on today. Sometimes this is a conspiracy fact. Okay, this information there's been an attempt to censor this information from the early 1900s. Okay, this is a chiropractor adjusting in jail after getting arrested. These are people outside of the jail cell saying with these signs, "We want our chiropractor back." Okay, the first generation, 2 generations of chiropractic it was normal. If you were going to be a chiropractor, at some point you were going to be put into jail. Okay, that's how big of an issue this was. So this came out in a lawsuit. Okay, it was in 1987. It's called the Wilkes versus the AMA. Okay, the American Medical Association was found guilty of a conspiracy to shut down chiropractic. And this was from one of their memos, and it was presented as evidence in that, and it went all the way to the federal level. So it says the AMA Board of Trustees decision in this meeting on November 2nd and 3rd, 1963 to establish the Committee on Quackery. Your committee, this Committee on Quackery, has considered its prime mission to be first, the containment of chiropractic and ultimately the elimination of chiropractic. Your committee believes it is well along its first mission and is, at this time, moving towards the ultimate goal. This then might be considered a progress report on the developments of the past 7 years. So this has been going on since the 1950s. Okay, the committee has not previously submitted such a report because it believes that to make public some of its activities would have been and continues to be unwise. Okay, thus this report is intended only for the Board of Trustees. Okay, now, does anybody really believe that there's nothing going on behind the curtain? That organizations such as these are totally open and honest about everything that they're doing at this point? No, this is still going on. So again, this lawsuit came about. So for 30 years, there was millions of dollars going into propaganda to contain, eliminate, and smear chiropractic. Why? Well, because the AMA, the American Medical Association, is actually a trade organization. It's not a governmental entity. Its job is to promote and to protect the trade of what we call now allopathic medicine. Now, they were found guilty of this conspiracy. And what they had to do is they had to come out in one of their magazines and say, we're sorry for doing this. We're not going to persecute chiropractors anymore. And now we're not going to persecute MDs for working with chiropractors. And that was about it. After 30 years of all of this propaganda coming back out. Now, it's understandable if you look into the history of this organization and what really moved what we call today as modern medicine into what it is. And some of the biggest influencers that many of us don't recognize is, number one, the Industrial Revolution. When the Industrial Revolution and that mindset got applied to modern medicine, we got so many benefits. Okay, we don't have, whenever you get a cold, you don't go to the doctor and you're not bled out anymore. Isn't that great? Does anybody know that Abraham Lincoln did not actually die from the bullet? He did not die from being shot. He lived for many days after that. He actually died because they bled him out. They got rid of all his blood. Now, I don't necessarily know if he would have recovered, especially at that time. However, that was the actual cause of death. Medicine before the Industrial Revolution was brutal. Okay, they actually didn't have surgeons back then. If you had something that you needed cutting off, you went to your barber. Medical school was like something that you could send away some money and get a book or pamphlet in the mail, and all of a sudden you would be a doctor, right? It was crazy back then. So thankfully, we had the Industrial Revolution. And you could kind of think of these people as like the kings of the Industrial Revolution. There is very few people that represent the height of power, the height of success, more than Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller. Now, these two gentlemen, okay, they were ruthless businessmen. Okay, John D. Rockefeller was in so many lawsuits. There are many, many laws that we have in creation specifically because of him. And same with Carnegie. So they were very, very successful, but their tactics were incredibly brutal. So one of the things that Carnegie would do is that he would try to control every aspect of the supply line all the way up until he got what he needed for his metal producing. Okay, and he would buy out everybody, and so that he could control the prices, and he would dominate every industry that led into what he needed for steel. And then Rockefeller, one of the tactics that he would use is he would price gouge. He would undercut his prices until all of the smaller competitors couldn't keep up. And once they closed their doors, then he would jack his prices back up. And he is basically why we have antitrust and monopoly laws that we do today, because he would just buy up everything. So these two men, although they were incredibly successful and our lives are much, much better because they existed, one of the things that both of them did is they started turning their focus towards philanthropy, okay, in changing not only our education system, but also our medical system. Okay, and there's a lot of benefits that we got from it. It's not all bad, but in doing so, they applied these same strategies. Okay, to eliminate the competition and to make sure there was only one way that things were done, because they're industrialists. That's what they do. They want to be able to manufacture this and get this product out. And so they have influenced everything from government, the creation of the AMA. They are, both of them were majorly influenced in our Department of Education also, under what's called the Flexner Report, where they went out and they studied all the medical schools out there, and any medical school that did not fall in line with the product-based medicine, which is, if you have something, can we give you a product for that? all of those schools were pretty much wiped out through lack of government funding, through persecution, until we have what we have today, which is what we call allopathic medicine, which is mainly based on the product of drugs and surgery. So this really comes down to a fundamental different way of thinking. One way of thinking, we call it a mechanistic way of thinking. In the mechanistic way of thinking, this body is a machine and it's made up of all these different parts. And if you put all the parts together, you have a body, you have a person, okay? Then there's the alternative, which is the vitalistic way of thinking. The vitalistic way of thinking or philosophy says this is more than a machine. You can put all these parts together in perfect place and you still won't have a person, because what a person is more than just the sum of their parts. So a mechanistic is all about measurable. Can you measure it? If you can't measure it, doesn't exist. Vitalistic is about beyond the physical. Can you measure love? Can you measure life? How much life you have in you? No, these are not things that we can measure. They are beyond the physical, but yet every single person in here can agree, yes, those things exist. We know they exist, we experience them, we see them, however, we can't measure them. Mechanism is about predictability, okay? Whereas vitalism is about intimacy. Whenever you get two people together, the math of love is 1 + 1 actually equals 3. Because there's something that gets created whenever two people are together. Okay, this relationship, this dynamic, this intimacy is much more than just those two people coming together. Almost has like kind of a life of its own. Okay, and it's the same thing in the body. All the different parts of the body, them working together is much more than just these parts interacting. Okay, mechanistic is all about mechanizing things, whereas vitalism is about living, and you cannot predict things in a living system. It has properties that are far outside what we can understand. Mechanism is about mass producing things, whereas vitalism is about individual focus. Okay, now this goes back before the Industrial Revolution. This actually goes back to the father of the germ theory. Now, the father of germ theory, when he first found germs and recognized, oh my gosh, these are associated with disease, he came up with the germ theory of disease. Now, one of his students who worked alongside of him, he came up with an alternative theory. Now, today, both the germ theory, that germs cause disease, and the terrain theory have an equal amount of evidence showing that they're correct. With all of this time that we've had to study them since the 1700s, they both show an equal amount of evidence. Now, what does that say? That says that the truth is probably somewhere in between. Both are a little bit right, but not fully, okay? Now, has everybody heard of the germ theory? Yeah? Has anyone heard of, raise your hand if you've heard of the terrain theory. We've got 1, 2, 3. 3 people out of the whole room have heard the terrain theory, yet these are equal, okay? In the germ theory of disease, germs cause disease, okay? If that were totally true, none of us would be alive today, because everyone here has been exposed to germs. Everyone here lives in germs. Everyone here has a microbiome that is very necessary for life and for health, and it's just filled with germs. Did you know that for every human cell that you have, a healthy person will have between 3 and 10 germ cells? You are more bacteria and virus count-wise than you are human if you just look at the number of cells. And this is necessary for health. These germs in our system produce a lot of our dopamine, serotonin that makes us happy. They produce a lot of the enzymes that we need to break down food. They produce a lot of our hormones. If this gut microbiome is disrupted, it is associated with a whole list of diseases and problems. The terrain theory says that germs, although they do exist, are actually opportunists. They end up at the place where the body is already weak. In terrain theory, germs show up because you're sick. They don't make you sick. And because the body is an incredibly intelligent system, this system will actually utilize germs to accomplish different things. Like I told you about the microbiome. If the body has a certain clump of cells that it needs to get rid of, the body will use bacteria to try to kill those cells off so that it can replace those cells with new, better, healthier cells. If the body has a certain part that needs its DNA reprogrammed, it will use viruses. It'll actually send viruses to that area because viruses impact our DNA and can rewrite it. So in terrain theory, the body, being an intelligent system, actually utilizes germs to the best of its ability. Some germs it just needs to get out, totally understandable. However, germs are not the problem. The body being sick is the problem, and germs are just part of the result. So, oh, by the way, on his deathbed, he's famed to have said, I was wrong. It's not the seed, it's the soil that matters. It's not the germ, it's where the germ is that's going to determine if it causes a disease or not. If it's in a sick person, that person is going to have those symptoms. If it's in a healthy person, that healthy body will just take care of it. So D.D. Palmer was a wild genius. I mean, if you just look into his eyes, wild genius. And one of the most genius things that he did, especially being probably got it from his school teacher days, is he asked incredible questions. And one of the questions that launched him on this healing and health journey was, what not causes disease, but what causes health? He asked, why does one person get sick while others that are living under the same roof, eating the same food, and working in the same way remain healthy? How is that? How is it that some people, whenever they get older, have arthritis and other people don't? How is it that some people can be working in the same industry and some people get repetitive injury and other people don't? Is it those things? Is it that environment, or is it the person and the state of the person that determines what's going to happen? So one of the things that's very different about chiropractic is that chiropractic follows deductive reasoning, whereas allopathic medicine follows inductive. Deductive reasoning is like Sherlock Holmes. You take what you know and then you extrapolate from that. Deductive reasoning is an extremely powerful way to get to some amazing places in truth, as long as what you're starting with is true. Now, inductive reasoning is a very different way of thinking. Again, it's the allopathic way of thinking. And it says if you can gather all the facts together, then you can get a greater truth from those. Okay? We know that people who suffer from heart disease have high cholesterol. That's a fact. Okay? In inductive reasoning, we go, okay, if people that have heart disease also have high cholesterol, if you lower their cholesterol, we'll get less heart disease. Anybody know if that's true or not? What we now know is that cholesterol lowering medication is one of the most commonly prescribed medications in today's society, and there has been zero decrease in heart disease. As a matter of fact, heart disease is getting worse. So this is the problem with inductive reasoning, is if you don't put those facts together correctly, you're not going to arise at a higher truth. Okay? So in chiropractic, there are 33 basic principles that we say, if these are true, then we can get to different levels of truth. Then we can deduce what to do with it. And the major premise, the very first one, principle number one, is there is a universal intelligence in all matter, and it continually gives to it all its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in existence. So one of the reasons that chiropractors are a major thorn in the side of people that want to industrialize healthcare and make healthcare mechanistic and predictable is that chiropractors start off with going, there is not a person on the planet that is smarter than the body that you're operating in. There is not a person on the planet that can tell life what it should or should not be doing. As a matter of fact, we are supposed to be listening to that higher intelligence, not telling it what it's supposed to be doing. This is the big issue. This is why chiropractors have been so persecuted over the past over the past 100 years. Okay, allopathic medicine is about management. And this is why it's great in emergency situations. You get into an emergency situation in which your body needs to be managed. You get your arm cut off and you're bleeding out. Manage it. Don't come get adjusted. Real quick. Go to the hospital. It's amazing at management. However, it cannot provide any healing because healing only comes from the body. And that body needs to be connected. It needs to be interference-free from the organizing intelligence or wisdom that runs it and has been running it however long you want to go back. Allopathic medicine is about homeostasis. Homeostasis is, can we get you being the same? Okay? What happens if we would try to make a baby the same? Would that be healthy or not healthy? No, you cannot grow. You cannot heal, you cannot adapt, you cannot evolve if you're trying to stay the same. So healthcare is about allostasis. Allostasis is, can you come to a higher level of function after a stress? Allopathic medicine is about symptom suppression. Okay, you have this bad thing that you don't like. Here, take this pill. Here, do this therapy, do this treatment. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. You'll be much better if you just get rid of it. Healthcare is going, whoa, this is a really intelligent system. Why would this system be doing that? What's going on that this system that's smarter than any living person on the planet is creating this symptom? I wonder what it needs. I wonder what it's saying. Okay, this is one of the reasons that our society doesn't really want healthcare. Okay, because then we have to actually look at ourselves. We have to look in our lives and we have to really go, am I doing this? Guess what? If you're in the wrong job, if you're in the wrong relationship, if you're eating the wrong food, if you're living in the wrong environment, if you're doing the wrong things, it's supposed to hurt. Your body's smart. It's supposed to tell you, wake up. Don't keep doing that. That's not authentic to you. But here's the problem. Everyone's unique. How can we create a system that gives you exactly the product that you need if you have this certain symptom, if you are a unique individual? Who are we going to go to tell us what we're supposed to be doing? Guess what? It's this system. Allopathic medicine is about controlling the body, whereas true healthcare is about supporting the body. It's about putting the body back in control of itself and its life. In chiropractic, there's what's called the one cause, one cure theory of disease. There is only one cause of disease, and that's the body's inability to recognize and to adapt to either itself or its environment. And there's only one cure for disease, and that's a healthy body. So there has been a lot of study on healthcare. And whatever study you want to look at, it has the same conclusion that every single person in this room has, is healthcare today sucks. And why does it suck? Well, if you go to the doctor and you tell them that you have this sign that you don't like, your body has a sign that it's not working well, and you have this symptom, what's going to happen? Are you going to get something? You're going to get taken care of? Yeah. If you go to the emergency room and you say, I have no signs, I have no symptoms, tell me what's going on. What are they going to do? They're going to ask you, hopefully politely, to leave. Today, we only have this treatment paradigm, and the treatment paradigm's goal is to prevent premature death. Okay, and we're very good at it. The problem is we've gotten so good at it that there's not a healthy person around for the most part. Okay, all our goal is to prevent death. Who wants to live a long, long life hooked up to a lot of machines, constantly seeing doctors, taking tons and tons of drugs and medication, always being helped? Anybody want that? Or do you want to enjoy your life? Do you want a high level of awareness, high level of wellness for as long as you possibly can? And once you don't have wellness, you lay down and that's it. That's what I want. I want to be living my fullest life right up until the moment I don't. But in order to do that, we have to take our focus off of this side of the spectrum. Not that it's bad, it's very, very important. However, whatever we focus on, we move towards. Okay, if all we're focusing on is trying to get rid of our symptoms, what are we going to move towards? Symptoms. All we've put our focus on is trying to stop death. What are we moving towards? Okay, death. Might not be physical death, but it'll be psychological death. It'll be death of intimacy. Okay, it'll be emotional death. Whatever you put your focus on, you move away from. Now, again, look, this is from an MD, not just some wackadoo quack chiropractor, okay? So this is from another study of health, okay? And this is called the Wilson and Cleary, Wilson and Cleary model of healthcare. And in this, they're looking at what is all involved in health. Okay, these are very, very forward-thinking doctors. Now, this model has been studied. In all the studies, it showed that it worked exceptionally well. Okay, they studied it with people with cancer. They studied it with people with heart disease. They studied it with people with HIV. Never studied on a healthy person. Okay, great. However, okay, if you look at all of this, right, what we really, every single one of us wants is we want this quality of life. Okay, whenever anybody comes to me and I show them all of those measurements that that I do, you know what they really care about? They really care about how they feel. Okay, they care about the fear that they're in. If I have this thing, what does it actually mean for my future? What does it mean for my family? What does it mean for my kids? What does it mean for our job? This is why people come to any sort of healthcare. However, if you look at our modern healthcare system, this is all we get. Okay, we get these biological variables. Can we test it? Can we measure it? How's your symptoms? Okay, and we want to get you to normal. And what does normal mean? It's not bad. Okay, that's that neutral point. No discernible illness, no discernible wellness. Okay, we talked about how wacky and different chiropractors have been historically. Today's chiropractors are still pushing down envelope. Okay, the man that I study from, Dr. Donald Epstein, he developed this style of chiropractic called network spinal. And network spinal has been studied in 12 different universities. There are, I think, 3 people that have their PhDs studying network spinal, the math that's involved in all those weird movements that you do on the table. And some of those equations are like this long. And they've got, I mean, this is not just letters and numbers, it's like symbols. And it's crazy. But the largest population study that's ever been done in chiropractic, which was 2,818 people, okay, was under network care. And what they looked at everything, because again, it's all about the quality of life. So they looked at what was changing physically. They looked at what was changing mentally and emotionally. They looked at, now Donnie wanted them to have a category called spirituality, okay? But everybody that was building the study says you can't put the word spiritual in there. If you put the word spiritual in there, it's never going to get published. And he goes, okay, well, what about life enjoyment? Because if you are a very spiritual person, you are in love with everything. So this life enjoyment, that's a good scientific term, really, for the goal of what spirituality is supposed to produce. And they looked at all the different domains of health, okay? And what they found, which was really fascinating, is that now, I'm not a statistician, so just like look at how these numbers relate to each other. I'm not exactly sure what 0.222 exactly means, but look at it in relationship to the other ones, okay? So if you do a healthy lifestyle, okay, which is exercise, yoga, if you don't do the bad things in life, okay, and if you eat, good nutrition, right, which adds to a healthy lifestyle, your increase in your perception of wellness is at 0.222. Okay, that's the benefit that you get. That's how much it'll go up. Okay, if you are under chiropractic care, okay, your awareness, your sense of wellness will improve 0.429. However, network spinal does both. Okay, it showed the highest spontaneous lifestyle change out of anything that's been ever studied. So undergoing network spinal, not only do you get this improvement, okay, but you also get these improvements also because it's all working together. Okay, and this is what's called reorganizational healing. Now, reorganizational healing, there have been 2 peer-reviewed research papers that have been done on it. If anybody is interested, it is both of them are phenomenal reads. Okay, but reorganizational healing is defined as an approach to healing in life which seeks to both optimize existing structures, so make what you have better, and fields of influence, not only your structures, but what's going on around you, and bring them into more dynamic, aware, and responsive state while producing new, sustainable emerging properties, which can assist in self-regulation, growth, and evolution of the system of your body. Reorganizational healing is not about you going back to the way that you were right before you got sick or hurt. Reorganizational healing is when you are healed, you are better than you ever were before this. As a matter of fact, that catalyst, that breakdown, that injury, that disease actually was in your life to shake you up, to disturb you, to disrupt you, because the way that you were living was not really good enough for you. It was not authentic enough for you. But after you've learned, after you've grown, you become wiser and stronger because of this incident, rather than having this thing that you always just have to live with, and hopefully at best it just doesn't happen again. So in reorganizational healing, what would happen if we would rethink that whole Wilson and Cleary model? Okay, what if instead of looking at all the biological factors and your signs and your symptoms, what if we made the quality of life our main focus? And what if, okay, this sounds kind of crazy, but what if you having a better quality of life actually improves who you are? What if you have a better quality of life, you get to be a better mom? You get to be a better boss. You get to be a better employee. Does that sound within the realm of possibility that if your life improves, that you yourself as an individual are going to improve? Okay. And I know this is crazy, but what if your life improving also led to you having the capacity to improve your environment around you? What if you being a happy person actually made your family better? It's crazy, right? It just sounds totally crazy. But believe it or not, this is a crazy way of thinking in our modern society. Okay? What if you being a better person and you improving your environment, and we know this to be true through the study of epigenetics, actually changes your biological variables? Did you know that you can change your genetic structure, your genetic expression? Did you know that it's been studied that not only if you change your genetic expression, it also affects the genetic expressions of your living relatives? Not just your descendants, but those that are alive before you also. Okay, so it's this crazy thing that if you have a better quality of life, do you think that you're going to feel better? Do you think that you're going to experience the world better? It's not a crazy leap, but yet if you look at our modern healthcare system, this is total opposite thinking. Okay, so what if we totally re-envisioned this? And instead of making this the sole focus, what if we put all of our focus on the other side? That is what healthcare is about. Now, healthcare does not exclude emergency care. It's part of it. Your symptom status, your value, all of this is necessary in order for healthcare. But in real healthcare, we have to acknowledge the system that we're in, and we have to be the ones that start pushing the system into a new and novel direction by demanding that this be our prime focus instead of this. Okay. And then there's this other stuff too, which that other stuff we could probably have a whole class on. So what's your focus? What are your standards? What are you going to say? This is the bottom of what I'm going to accept. And I'm demanding much more. Okay. What do you want more of in life? And where do you want to be in a month, in a year, in 5 years, 10 years? Where do you want your kids to be? Where do you want your grandchildren to be? Where do you want the future of humanity to be? This is where it starts changing here and now. And it's not going to change by the people that are making money on the current system. It's just not. I'm actually not a big conspiracy theorist. I think the vast majority of conspiracy theories can be very easily explained by the combination of greed and stupidity. But we have to be the ones that are going to raise our standards and say, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from today's class, is that there is a being in your human that is far wiser and more capable than you can even imagine. And if you will open up, if you will drop the fear, you can develop a relationship with this being. You can develop a relationship with this body. You can develop a relationship with this mind. You can develop a relationship with your experiences. You can develop a relationship with the culture, not only of your body, but that you're in, with the recognition that you are none of these things. You're just in relationship with them. And the quality of your relationship is going to determine the quality of your health. It's going to determine the quality of your experience, of your mind. So we're going to do a quick meditation. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to really feel yourself. Notice where you go to feel yourself. Do you go to your body? Do you go to your mind? Do you go to the room around you? Just notice this thing that you call a self. Now, I want you to imagine that you were born 6,000 years ago. The culture that you grew up in did not exist. The religion that you grew up in did not exist. The family that you grew up in did not exist. None of the experiences that you've had in this lifetime existed. If you were born thousands and thousands of years ago, what would be the same about you? How would you know you if you had no culture, no current experiences? I want you to imagine that you were born 8,000 years in the future. You were a totally different gender. What's the same about you? Feel you without anything that you recognize about this life. Now, I want you to imagine that you were born on an alien world. And in that world, there was no such thing as even a body. How would you know you? What would be the same because you are living that life? Now come back into this body. You know where your legs are. You know your legs don't exist by the door. You know where your head is. You know your head is not floating in the corner of the ceiling. You know where your chest is. You know where your fingers are. What is the sense that your body has because you inhabit it? What is the very foundational sense of I know I'm in this body? What's that feeling feel like? Is it a vibration? Is it a temperature, a warmth, a cooling? Is it a texture, a smooth, a hard, a rough, a soft? Is it a color? Is it a sound? Is it a smell? Is it a taste? Is it a weight, a lightness, or a heaviness? How do you know that you are in a body? Feel the entire body all as one. Yes, there's multiple sensations, but what's the one constant that's everywhere? Okay, I want you to open your eyes. What'd you notice? Were you able to find that underlying sense of you deeper or above all of the different feelings in the body? Raise your hand if you were able to really feel you. Okay, quite a few people. Okay, can somebody just shout out one of the aspects of what you felt? Like for me, it's like a very, very soft, very fast, but very smoothing, like buzz almost, or vibration. Not like a jittery, but it's like this very, very, very subtle vibration movement. And it has almost like a warmth to it, but not like a temperature warmth. It's like a comforting warmth, like a soft warmth. Anybody else felt something that they could share?
Feels like a smile.
Like a smile. That's awesome. Anybody else?
The pressure on the skin.
Like a pressure. Awesome. I'm going to show you this video because I want everyone in this room to know what the stakes are.
Define better. Yeah. Define better. Yeah. They say he's better. I look him in the eyes, I see a glassy look. He's not really there, it's a life they took. He no longer cries, no longer sings. Hardly ever laughs, don't do much of anything. But he's much more quiet, he's not in the hair. Also much less alive, but they don't really care. Less in the way is what they really want. They claim they got the cure, but there's lies they flaunt. He used to be alive, now he's closer to dead. But they say he's better, he don't fight him for Zed. I tell it like it is, but they don't want to hear it. Just stuff him full of drugs like they done for years. Speak out against the label and the drug and now. And the ones being played, screaming how about the people they claim this improved to the letter. Just look them in the eyes and say, define better.
Do you mean sedated? Don't you mean drugged down? Do you mean regulated?
Define better.
Do you mean suffocated? Don't you mean dumbed down? Do you mean dominated?
Define
They say
better.
she's better, never speaks her mind no more, never rocks the boat, she keeps her eyes to the floor. A tasket, her mind is in a basket. No strength to make her stand, cause she knows she'll get her ass kicked. But she can pop another pill to make her better still. While distance in the dream she will never fulfill. Time to kill, take a spill. These drugs making death look better to her, maybe she will. Her body's still there, but the sparkle is gone. In a materialistic world, where does the spirit belong? So who's gonna notice there is anything wrong? What fools call it better, droning on and on. It's not a problem in her, it's a problem to you. She's got a problem in life, you played a part in it too. Only stupid or oppressives claim these drugs unfettered. Those that claim they've improved, yeah right, define better.
Do you mean sedated? Don't you mean drugged down? Do you mean regulated?
Define better.
Do you mean suffocated? Don't you mean dumbed down? Do you mean dominated?
Who is getting better? Prescribers and the ones who refer. Doctors went and dying, the honor worth dirt. The people in the nation sold down the river. Enemies salivating while the fools deliver. Teacher schools falling for it. Countless sisters, brothers dying for it. Run, mama, run. Your baby's choking, you can stop it. Life draining out of him. I know you know it. You trusted. Look what it just did. Big Pharma won't save you now. People screaming, save them how it's too late. Not error, not fate, but hate. Don't you understand? Stand up, be heard. You know we be the last stand. Don't be naive. Nah, don't you believe? Check history. It's no mystery. Learn from the past. People listen. It's our future. It's our children.
Don't you mean dumbed down? Do you mean regulated?
Define
Do you mean suffocated? Don't you mean dumbed down? Do you mean dominated? Can't you see I'm faded? That I'm empty inside? Don't you see I hate it? I won't be suffocated. I won't be dumbed down. I'm not gonna take it.
Where are the real tests? Keep asking cause there are none. This is control, sabotage, school and handguns. Give me hard facts and not the heart attacks and suicide. Poor lies, violence, cover up and lies. It's too incredible for most to believe. And that's exactly why they get away with children under siege. Make them define better cause it isn't correct. That the medication has these fatal effects. We got to take this message, we got to shout it out. We got to take control, gotta stand for what we know. Make your voice known, demand to know the truth. The power's in your hands to command, they define better.
Does anyone know what the leading cause of death for elementary and high school age kids is? Suicide. Does anybody know what the second leading cause is? Drug-related issues like overdoses, drug crime, okay? We've got a big problem right now, a major problem. And the source of that problem is that we have taken the soul out of medicine. We have taken the life out of healing. We have taken the pleasure, the joy, the quality out of our lives, and we have exchanged them for predictability, for testability, for fitting in. And the result of that is generations under so much stress and so much pain that kids feel like it's better to take their own lives than to keep going. I want to keep this light, but this is a very serious issue. And every single person in this room is the solution because of what we are defining as what do I want that's actually better. Do I want less pain, less symptoms? Or do I want more in life? Do I want more love? Do I want more joy? Do I want more passion? Do I want more purpose? If we keep defining our lives by what we want less of, humanity is going over a cliff. It's only by us waking up and saying, I am so grateful that we have the solutions for the past's problems. I am so grateful that we have all of these modern day conveniences. And now I'm going to step up and I'm going to start being the solution for the next generation. Because if the next few generations do not see adults that are healthy and happy, they have no hope. So thank you all so much for being here. Just a reminder, the second Thursday of every month, we have fun classes like this. All sorts of different topics. It's not typically this depressing. So please, please, please continue to join us. Bring your friends. You can join in person, which we always love. You could also join online. Please send out the invitations to anybody that you know, okay? And I want to leave you with this. How do you measure health and wellness? What would you need in order to say this right here is a health measurement? And I'm going to challenge you with this. Health measurements are based on what you want more of. And health measurements, you can't have too much of it. Can you have too much balance? Like, is that ever going to be an issue? Can you have too much joy? Can you have too much love? Can you have too much coordination? Look at what you want more of and find ways of actually measuring that in your life. And when you are looking for healthcare, make sure that whoever is on your healthcare team is measuring things that you can never have too much of, and keep them accountable for continuing to measure that. Because if we're not accountable, we don't know if things are changing. So just remember, this is what we do here. Okay, we measure these things. We measure ease in your system. We measure balance. We measure coordination, efficiency, and effectiveness. We do it a lot in your body, but whenever you fill out those forms, we're also doing it for your mind and your life, because that's what real healthcare is. Okay, if you woke up every morning just totally in love with your life, and the entire day was everything that you wanted to do, and you were just in love with your family and in love and in passion, you did what you enjoyed doing, what you loved doing, you were passionate and on purpose, would you care if your blood pressure was elevated? Would you care what your cholesterol numbers are? Do you really care about these little things that they tell you means there's something wrong with you? Or do you care about yourself, your life, and those around you? Okay, that's what our core score is. And again, we're measuring this on a regular basis. So for those of you that are in the room that haven't undergone this yet, we want to give you the offer for a free discovery call today. You call Haley to see if working with us is going to benefit you. You get to learn a whole lot about not only what we do here, but you get to learn about yourself. because we can't help you if you don't know what you want. So a big part of the discovery call, and Haley is amazingly skilled at this, is helping you to identify what is it that you really want. Do you want to lose a couple pounds? Or do you want to look in the mirror and go, dang, I look good? What is it that you truly want? If we know what you want, we can help you get there. Okay? So I want to thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart for being here. Again, like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram. I think that's what you do on the Instagram. Our YouTube page is full of amazing classes of this caliber and way, way better. So please go check it out, and please share that valuable information with anybody that you know and love, because it's only whenever society is made up of healthy, happy individuals that we are going to have a better society. We can't wait to be healthy and happy until we get a better society, because that's what it's going to take. So does anybody have any questions? Does anybody learn anything that they didn't know about?
Yeah.
Yeah, throw some things out. What did you find interesting? Yeah?
Like the chiropractic that people like got killed for. It's interesting.
Oh, they went to jail?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy, huh? Yeah, a lot of chiropractors went to jail. Anybody else find something fascinating that they didn't know?
I had never thought about industrial revolution and just the whole mindset around that impacting medicine. It makes so much sense.
It does. It does. And we got a lot of benefits from it. Yay! Now let's keep those benefits and let's get rid of the of the downsides. Anybody else? Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Did you know, unfortunately, the person that invented X-rays, Madame Curie, and everybody that she worked with died of radiation poisoning. So I thank you for all the inventors out there, but if you choose to be an inventor, please be very careful. Anybody else? Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining.